Welcome to episode 23 of the Automation Podcast, brought to you by InsightsInAutomation.com. I'm Shawn, your host, and today we're going to talk about what Allen Bradley PLCs support the adding of I/O while the PLC is online and running in the run mode. And when we talk about the online edition of I/O, we're really talking about the ControlLogix PLC. That's the only PLC Rockwell has today on the market that will allow you to add I/O to it while the programmable controller is actually running its program. Now, I don't want to confuse the online edition of I/O with removable and insertable under power I/O. So 1756, which is ControlLogix, 1794, which is Flex I/O, and 1734, which is Point I/O, they all support remove and insert under power. In other words, if a module fails, you can leave the I/O rack powered up, remove the old module, plug in the new module, the processor will download the configuration to that module, and you'll take right back off from where you were. That is different from adding I/O that didn't exist in the program when it was put into the run mode. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking the online edition of I/O. Now, the first version of this feature was released back in RSLogix 5000 version 15. And again, it was for the ControlLogix family of processors only, the 1756 processors. And the only support added was for 1756 I/O. Most of that I/O, not all of it, but most of it, was supported on ControlNet, on Ethernet, or in the local chassis. Now, when Rockwell released this feature, they also released a white paper. And I'll give you the part number of that white paper. You can either go to ab.com and look it up, or you can go to Google and search it on Google. It's Logix-WP006, and I'll spell that out. Logix-WP006. WP as in white paper. And that's a document. And in that document, they have this great table I'm going to go through. It's table 1, and it tells you what your different options are. So let's look at, with version 15 or later, what can you add online when the PLC is in remote run? And here we go. So for 1756 modules, we can add in the local chassis a digital direct module, an analog or advanced direct module, a generic 1756 module, a CNBR, that's a ControlNet module, and an ENET or an ENBT. Now, what we can't add is a motion direct. We cannot add a digital rack optimize. We can also not add a DeviceNet or DHRIO, Data Highway Remote I/O module, during runtime. Now let's take a look at what we can add on ControlNet. Now, adding I/O on ControlNet while the processor is running, most of this I/O is going to go into the unscheduled bandwidth. And that includes a digital direct module, an analog module, an advanced direct module, a generic module, as well as a CNB, that's a ControlNet module. They also allow you to add a digital rack optimized module in the scheduled bandwidth, which has me a little confused because you can't actually reschedule the network, but they must have figured out a way to let you do it without having to reschedule the network. Now let's move on to Ethernet. What I/O can I add to an Ethernet rack during runtime? And again, it's all 1756 modules. I'll cover the ones you can. A digital direct, a digital rack optimized, an analog direct, an advanced direct, a generic third-party direct. You can add DeviceNet and DHRIO modules on Ethernet. You couldn't do that locally or on ControlNet, but you can do it on Ethernet, as well as ENBT or ENETs. We couldn't do that on the ControlNet, but that is supported on Ethernet as well as locally. And that's a good summary of what they allow you to do online. So if you can think of it this way, it's pretty much all of your digital and analog modules and third-party modules. You can add them while the processor is in remote run, as long as you're using ControlLogix and the I/O is 1756, and it's either in the local chassis, the remote chassis on ControlNet, or the remote chassis on Ethernet. And all this is spelled out in Table 1 in that document, Logix-WP006. Now, there's only been one update since version 15, and that was in version 18. In version 18, they added a second phase of support for adding I/O online when the ControlLogix is running its program in the remote run mode. Again, this includes local Ethernet, and ControlNet. They added support for the CN2, CN2R, and CN2R-XT. So those are the new ControlNet modules. They added support for the EN2T, the EN2TR, and the EN3TR. So those are all the new Ethernet modules. They added support for the PowerFlex 4, 40, 400, and 400P drives. They also added support for the PowerFlex 70, 700, 700S, and 7000, as well as the newer PowerFlex 753 and 755. They even went back and added support for the PowerFlex DC, the 1305, 1336E, F, R, S, T. Let me say that again. The 1336E, F, R, S, and T, the 1397, and then the Foundation Fieldbus linking device, the 1757 FFLD. So that was great. There was some disappointment that they didn't add Flex I/O because that is a very popular I/O platform. But that's what they added in version 18. That was that second phase of support. And all that information can be found in the ControlLogix System Users Manual. And that's 1756-UM001. Again, UM for User Manual. 1756-UM001. And as far as what I/O you can add to a ControlLogix system while the programmable controller is in remote run, that's it. No Flex I/O, no Point I/O, nothing else. And no new changes since version 18. So when will we get support for the new 525 drives or 523 drives? When will we get support for maybe Point I/O? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be on the roadmap. And what about that new rumored I/O that's so top secret that nobody even knows that it's coming? But we're kind of hoping we'll see it at Automation Fair. Your guess is as good as mine. We'll just have to wait and see what comes out as the future unfolds. And that's it for this episode of the Automation Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or corrections, please don't hesitate to share them with us by replying to this episode's blog post at theautomationpodcast.com. And you can always stay up to date with all the Insights websites at insightsinautomation.com. I'm your host, Shawn Tierney, and until next time, peace.